Hi guys, Time itself here taking a look at the first base of Rush on Hainan Resort, the good old beach. At the launch of the game, the defenders were heavily favored here. The attackers have a long way to go from the carrier to the beach, mostly exposed as they move along the calm waters, and then when the attackers finally get to shore, they don't have a whole lot of land to work with, unlike No Shar Canals on Rush in Battlefield 3. But DICE has changed up the vehicle assignments, taken away the defenders' vehicles, and given the attackers a lot to work with, and it's made this map fairly interesting. At times, both sides can feel like they're at a severe disadvantage. The attackers still have that long trip to make from the carrier to the beach, but the defenders are going to be faced with an onslaught of vehicles. Still, for the defenders, this is the first, best opportunity to stop the attackers on this map. The attackers get a scout helicopter, a transport helicopter, an attack boat, 2 ribs, and an LAV. The obvious thing to do is to get as many engineers as you can and shoot that stuff down before it gets to shore. Given the long ranges the defenders are trying to work with here, the RPG and SMAW probably aren't the best choices for launchers. Instead, the Law, Javelin, or my personal recommendation, the SRAW should be your go-to launchers. The defenders don't get any vehicles, but they do get some emplaced weapons. The 50 cals aren't terribly useful, not really effective on this first base. They tend to be better against infantry rather than vehicles, and they can't look up high enough in order to take a shot at the helicopters most of the time. The other emplaced weapon, the tow launcher or HJ8, is almost as effective as the SRAW, but won't chew through your ammo, and you can guide the missile to its target while it reloads, making it extremely useful at the longer ranges we see here, and it can look up high enough in order to take on the helicopters. This first of 2 HJ8s is the only one with a good view of the ocean, and the defenders should probably have someone on it pretty much the entire game. There is a second, however. It's further back in the base on the left side and is mostly only useful if the attacker's LAV comes on shore, and then it gives the defenders something else to work with. You might be able to take a helicopter down with it too, however. Defending this base is one of the few cases where I would consider the SOFLAM as a recon, and at that point I'd probably take both the SOFLAM and the PLD and try and get out a lot of laser designations. One kind of silly thing you can do is put out the SOFLAM, have it laser designate a target out on the ocean, and then this second HJ8 will actually shoot over like the Javelin and come down on the target, and well, you can put it to use. It's kind of goofy. I don't recommend it, but it can be kind of fun. The issue with the SOFLAM is that the automatic laser designation has a fairly limited angle which will actually work, and vehicles tend to drive through that before you can have it lock on and then have the launcher lock on too. As a defender, one thing you can often take advantage of is the attacker's generosity. They'll often leave a rib here with a wonderful minigun that's a threat to just about everything else on the battlefield. Infantry and helicopters are great, but other rib boats, even the attack boat, this minigun is a threat to those. About the only thing it's not is the attacker's LAV. Doesn't exactly provide concealment or protection, but given the amount of firepower you can put out, it'll really help thin out the attackers. And you'll also take a rib away from them, so why not? But sometimes the attackers get just foolishly generous and will give you something like an LAV or an attack boat. But you should take advantage of it. You won't usually get this lucky, but if you do, try not to lose the vehicle so the attackers don't get it back. Though I almost feel like you could make the argument that you could just let them have the LAV and it would take some guy out of the game for a whole minute as he tried to drive the thing back to the base from the carrier. But still, even if you don't have the ideal loadout for that situation, I would still go ahead and grab the vehicle and try and keep it. I want to point out how accurate and stable the gun on the LAV is. You can practically snipe with that thing. As the attacker's life can be rough, you want to try to beat the defenders to their position. That's quite the challenge given how far you have to travel. It partly just depends on when the vehicles spawn in, but with a helicopter or a rib, you might beat the attackers there and get set up. Once you are on shore, try not to get squad wiped. Otherwise, you're going to have to come back all the way from the carrier. The small island provides a bit of cover for vehicles headed to the right, probably a good choice for the rib and especially the LAV, given how slow it is moving through the water. The LAV can even set up on the island. I showed how accurate the secondary gun on the LAV was earlier, and so you can snipe basically with it from the island. It might even be more effective given how long it takes for the LAV to get all the way to shore. One of the things the LAV is particularly good for is destroying any ribs that the defenders manage to claim from the attackers. For both the attack boat and the LAV, you're going to want loadouts that let you do accurate long-range damage. You need to take out the engineers, the tow missiles, that HJ-8. Yeah, you have to take that out as the attackers. If the defenders know what they're doing, that is a serious threat, and you know exactly where it is. So zoom optics, and basically your choice of loadouts, though I kind of like the tow missile. Both the attack boat and the transport helicopter serve as spawn points for your entire team, not just your squad. If a squad does get wiped, it's useful to have those things fairly close to the shore so that they can get back in the action fairly quickly. Given the especially small area this base takes up on land, I think suppressors are probably a really good choice. You also don't have to go straight for the MCOMs. There isn't a lot of space, but there is enough to try and flank a little bit and get around to the sides of the defenders. As far as the layout of the buildings, shipping containers, and various just junk all over this base, I don't really know any particular points of interest other than the MCOMs. About the only thing I'd say is that the defenders can blow a hole in the back wall of the B MCOM building and get to it that way too. Can take the attackers by surprise sometimes. Finally, as a point to both the attackers and defenders, the attack boat does not respawn after this base. If the attackers can keep it, it will be very useful on the 3rd and 4th bases, though not so much on the 2nd base. I want to thank you for watching. I hope this short summary of the first base on Hainan Resort for both attacking and defending was both entertaining and useful to you. I would very much appreciate your feedback in the comments below.
Inside my world, my sleeping beauty light, lovely facts shine.